We are covering Class B airspace, a critical and heavily tested topic for your FAA Part 107 exam. The FAA emphasizes this because Class B represents the busiest and most complex airspace a remote pilot might encounter. On a sectional chart, you will identify Class B airspace by solid blue lines. It surrounds the nation's busiest airports, like those in Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Chicago. The structure of Class B is often described as an upside-down wedding cake, with multiple layers or shelves that increase in size with altitude. Each of these shelves has its own floor and ceiling, indicated on the chart. For example, you might see a fraction like 100/30 inside a segment bounded by a solid blue line. The top number, 100, represents the ceiling of that airspace segment at 10,000 feet mean sea level, or MSL. The bottom number, 30, indicates the floor begins at 3,000 feet MSL. If the bottom number is SFC, it means that layer of Class B airspace extends down to the surface. The most important rule for Part 107 operations is that you cannot fly in Class B airspace without prior authorization from air traffic control. This is not optional and is a point of major emphasis on the exam. The primary method for obtaining this authorization is through the Low Altitude Authorization and Notification Capability, known as LAANC. LAANC is an automated system that provides near real-time authorizations for drone flights in controlled airspace. When you request authorization through a LAANC provider, the system checks your proposed flight area against UAS Facility Maps. These maps show pre-approved altitude ceilings for drone operations. For example, in a grid very close to the airport runways, the UAS Facility Map will likely show a 0, meaning no automated approval is available. A few miles out, the grid might show a ceiling of 200 feet, allowing you to get an automated authorization to fly up to that altitude above ground level, or AGL. The exam will test your understanding that even with LAANC, you are restricted to these pre-approved altitudes. One of the most common exam traps involves the confusion between MSL and AGL. Airspace altitudes on charts are in MSL, but your drone's altitude is measured in AGL. An exam question might describe a scenario where you are flying at 400 feet, AGL. If the ground elevation is 800 feet, your drone is actually at 1,200 feet MSL. If a Class B shelf above you starts at 1,000 feet MSL, you would be flying illegally inside it, even though your controller says you are at 400 feet AGL. Another trap is misidentifying the lines. Solid blue lines denote Class B, while solid magenta lines indicate Class C airspace. To help remember the key points, use this phrase: B is for big and busy, blue solid lines, and before you fly, you better get authorization. This links the purpose of Class B airspace with its chart depiction and the absolute requirement for authorization. Understanding these details is not just about passing a test. It's about ensuring safety in the most congested parts of the national airspace system. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.